Good afternoon, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, a warm welcome for you to attend this afternoon session. And this session is the very important session under the theme of different voices, same stories. It's about combating desertification. As we all know, desertification is a global challenge that requires coordinated efforts from various countries, especially those facing severe land degradation in arid, semi-arid, and dry sub-humid areas of the world. Desertification is primarily driven by climate change, unsustainable agriculture practices, deforestation, and urbanization. Depending on the local circumstances, each country has taken special measures and approaches to combat desertification. So in today's event, we have 5 panelists. Right now we have 4, and we have one more coming on the way. They have the extensive knowledge of their particular environment and the circumstances that prevalent in this area. Desertification and its catastrophic consequences on humanity and ecosystems are the same everywhere in the globe. And this side event will serve as a forum for shared experience by underlying the fact that the desertification is in the very same way in the world. So before we begin, I would like to give a brief introduction of our panelists here today. And I start with Mr. Eric Sawyer. He's the council president of IEBS, a Brazilian civil society organization with social and environmental projects all over the country. And the second panelist is Paulo Ismail Moepi from Lesotho. He has a solid background in soil science and GIS with over 9 years of experience tackling land degradation, desertification, and drought. And our third speaker is Mr. Ronan Francis. Dr. Ronan Francis is a distinguished environmental specialist, educator, and football manager. And he has a significant contribution to the field of soil science as regional land expert for the Partnership Initiative for Sustainable Land Management. He oversees land management initiatives across the Caribbean and leads the Seeds Sodecare regional projects. Now we have a friend who is coming, not yet in his place. He's from China. His name is Professor Bo Wu. And he's right on the head of key laboratory of desert ecosystem and global change, the National Forestry and Grassland Administration of China. And his research focuses on responses acclimation of desert ecosystem to global change. So I guess we have introduced. Okay, we have last speaker. Very important speaker, Dr. Zehra Kaya Topaşlı. Welcome to our session. And she had a master's degree in Kingston University, London. And she's now working as the General Director of Combating Desertification and Erosion, working at disaster risk assessment and combating desertification, contributing numerous projects already. So thank you very much for coming to join us here today for this important panel. So we're going to hear from our panelists their perspective and success stories, and also the challenges they are facing today in combating desertification. So first of all, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Eric Sawyer to give us her experience, success stories, and the challenges faced by Brazil. Mr. Eric Sawyer, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say it's an honor to be here among such distinguished gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation. It's really a privilege to be here. And, well, first of all, just to give you an idea, Brazil is roughly the size of Europe, as you may know. And among its very diverse ecosystems, we have our semi-arid region, which covers about the size of France and Germany put together. We have about 30 million people who live in these areas that are susceptible to desertification in Brazil. And if we look at the annual rainfall for this region, it may seem high. It's about 750 millimeters. But it's concentrated in a very short period of the year, maybe 2 or 3 months. And the soil is very rocky, so the water does not penetrate the ground. This, allied with very high temperatures, means the water usually evaporates before it's any use to the people. It's very crystalline as well, so it's very expensive to have equipment to drill for water, and any water that is brought up from wells is usually salty and improper for human use or for agriculture. Anyway, so the water, this is a significant share of the smallholder farmers that live in Brazil are located in the semi-arid region. These smallholder farmers are the ones who are responsible for the diversity in our diets. They bring more than industrial agriculture does to the plates of everybody. And this is very important for the economy in the region as well. But despite this importance, they are the ones who are the most vulnerable and the most impacted by the desertification processes. This is where our rural poverty is felt the most. So over the past decades, Brazil has shifted a little bit the view, the paradigm for the policies. Instead of spending millions and millions trying to divert, to alter the course of our main rivers, which usually also just changes the address of the problem rather than solving it, we've tried to acknowledge the contribution, the creativity, the tenacity, the very capacity that the smallholder farmers have to solve their own problems. And these so-called social technologies that they have developed for rainwater catchment, for purification, for desalination, very simple solutions that are easy to replicate, have made the solution come much closer to a reality just by shifting our point of view. This is reflected in most of our policies nowadays. Every policy that is created by the current government tries to listen to the smallholder farmers and see what their views are on the problems. I'll come back to that in a bit. Let me just check my notes here. Yes. So Brazil has a history of low participation in this convention, unfortunately. In the past conventions and many occasions we had a delegation of 2 diplomats who came to negotiate. This year we're here with nearly 100 people in our delegation. For the first time we have a pavilion in the Blue Zone, which I believe is also the first time we have a Blue Zone. And in our pavilion yesterday we presented the program, the action plan to combat desertification. This action plan brings together more than 78 legal instruments, be they policies or plans or programs that are aimed directly or indirectly to contribute to the UNCCD priorities. This was a bit of a challenge placed by Secretary Ibrahim Tial when he came to Brazil in June of this year, and he said, you need to bring this to the attention of the world, all the contributions that Brazil has. So largely in response to that, our participation is that much higher here. And the draft for this document is now publicly available for contributions because in addition to being constructed participatively, we're still gathering other contributions as well before it is launched in June of next year. We've also just had a panel there to talk about a campaign to build awareness in all of the Brazilian government, because not all government agents are convinced of the need to worry about desertification and about the priorities of this convention. And this is something that is an ongoing effort. And basically, I think that's just a quick overview of the current Brazilian scenario with regards to combating desertification. We know that there's been no better time when this discussion is important. There's no better time for us to join hands. And I think with our colleagues here, we can find many contributions that we can bring to the table for bottom-up approaches, but also to learn a lot and see how we can deal with this common problem that is affecting everybody. And basically, I think that's it. Teşekkür ederim.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Sawyer, for your wonderful, insightful remarks. Ms. Sawyer gave us very valuable insights about the struggles of Brazilian farmers to combat climate change. And also he gave us examples by saying Brazil government just set up a pavilion here today for the first time. So this is, again, very strong evidence of Brazilian government's dedication commitment to fight those negative consequences brought about by climate change. So thank you very much, Ms. Sawyer. Now let's move to the second speaker here, Mr. Paula Ismail Moepi. And I think you're going to have a lot of to share with us as far as the land degradation is concerned. The floor is yours, Mr. Moepi.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, so I'm going to take you through the story of land degradation, desertification, and drought in the African region, and then from there I will be zooming straight into the situation and analysis happening in Lesotho and how we are dealing with those kind of issues at the national level. Yeah. So. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, like I said, I will give you an overview of how things are happening, or the situation analysis of the African region, and then we are saying at the regional level, the status of the DLDD is sitting at around 46% of land degradation, and then of the 46 land that is degraded, we are seeing 75 to 80% of that land is falling within the agricultural land, and then the issues that we are having, we are seeing on a yearly basis 30 to 60 kg of the nutrients per hectare per year are being lost due to land degradation and in the African region, and then that situation is affecting the population around 485 million. So this is quite appalling in terms of the negativity that are happening, but also the spatial and temporal scale of how land degradation is affecting us differ in the African region, whereby we are seeing in the arid and the semi-arid regions of the African region are the mostly affected regions, and then the humid and the sub-humid locations are the least. We are not saying they are not affected, but they are the least affected regions. Yeah. So with this map, we can see that up here, this red color shows a declining status of the land, and then we can see that at the middle here, the degree of how land degradation is affecting this area, it's the minimal as compared to this north region and the southernmost part of the Africa. So this map is based on the land productivity dynamics, the remote sensing one. Yeah, this is just an overview of how things are happening, or the situation analysis. And then I liked this slide a lot because Earlier we had this report, I think it was before 2010, of the projections of land degradation in the region. And then we were saying by 2025, which is this coming year, and for me I would say we are already in the 2025, we were saying 2.8 billion people in the 48 African countries will face water stress or water scarcity conditions by 2025. And the situation that is prevailing in the African region is beyond this statistics based on the current literature of the region. And then this says to us land degradation, desertification are the serious problems. And then that's where we stand as the African region, even in this platform. And then the implications to this matter is that the Orange, Niger, and Nile river basins are the most affected river basins in the African region. And then the least affected river basins are the Zambezi and the Congo basins. Why? Those that are least affected are in the middle here. And those that are highly affected are in those locations that I mentioned in the previous slide. And then we are saying our soils are degrading, and then the productivity is also being affected by this land degradation, the drought. And then we are saying while our land is degrading, the population also is increasing, and diets are shifting. And then we are saying those people who are increasing exponentially are relying on the degrading land. These issues are quite serious in Africa, and then they need our intervention as different platforms. The challenges that we have in Africa is that the alignment to the SDG reporting still remains a challenge, because other countries in the regions have not yet reported even under the UNCCD reporting framework. The DLDD exists our national budgets. We have shown you here that we are highly degraded as the African region, and then our budgets that we have as the states is below the situation that is prevailing on the ground. And then we are saying this calls international collaboration for us to tackle this issue. Capacity building also, we need to keep up as the region, because science evolves, and then the challenges that we have are not the same as the ones that we used to have. So capacity building in terms of institutions, we need it. Yeah, now we'll be zooming into the Mountain Kingdom. We started these national targets. We formulated them during 2019. I will be focusing more on the 2018-2030 strategic framework, because quite a lot has been happening in Lesotho, but through the UNCCD strategic framework, I will be talking more, basing myself on it. So 2019, we based, we developed these national targets that we were in line with the activities that are happening in the country. Our matrices from all the regions of the country. So we were saying we need to tackle the issues. Oh, it went. Oh yeah, we are here. We need to deal with the erosion control measures, and then we are targeting 600,000 hectares of the country. And then we are saying if we can deal with erosion measures at this area, it will be significant that the Agenda 2030 that we are projecting we will achieve it. And I think for now we are still in the right direction on these targets. So now the progress and implementation that is happening in the country. The government of Lesotho, sometimes we don't have to talk about the external funding only. We also have to do something as the nation to deal with the issues of DLDD. In Lesotho, this March is being channeled into dealing with the certification land declaration in the country at the national level. And then we are saying on yearly basis, we are dealing with the 19,060 hectares in terms of rehabilitation measures. And then we are saying if we can work on 19,000 hectares on yearly basis, it will be achievable that the 2030 will be reaching somewhere. That we are saying at least if we deal with this acreage, we will achieve at least 5% of soil organic matter. We will be changing this, the soil organic matter. Will be dealing with the land productivity dynamics. The land cover will be improved also. And the concept that we use there is one out, all out. We know that if we don't deal with the soil organic carbon, the land cover also gets affected. And then the productivity dynamics of the land depends largely on the soil organic carbon. And these are some of the SLM best practices that we are using in the country. We have here at the left here, this is where the government was trying to rehabilitate, where there is a national solar plant supplying the country with the electricity. So we are dealing with this kind of issues. In the middle here we have where the communities are dealing with the regeneration of the rangelands. And then in the right, the picture here shows SLM best practices. We call them infiltration peas. In other regions they call them the range peas. Actually what we want to do here, we want to get away from a situation whereby there is a high runoff from the rainfall. We want all the water that is coming from the rain to infiltrate so that we can encourage the regeneration of the grass species that are found on the ground. And then if we are dealing with those issues, we are very sure that as dealing with the climate action, dealing with the food security and making many people live above the poverty line will be achieved. So this one shows that this picture shows us one of our water harvesting structures that we are using as the government of Lesotho to help communities to move from the situation that is caused by drought. Drought is a serious problem in Africa. And then we are saying even in this platform, the COP16, this is where we are standing as the African region. Drought, we need to deal with drought. So this is what we are dealing with at the national scale and subnational scale. Here, it's a picture showing what we are doing as the extension officers from the government of Lesotho. We want to instill a situation whereby the farmers, the land users are aware that if they implement the conservation measures, now they will be in a better position to just conserve their soil. You see down here where this was just a demonstration showing that if we implement the conservation measures, we will be having this soil retained while water just flow. Okay, now we cannot talk about the conservation measures without measuring, without monitoring, without evaluating. So we have our land cover, national land cover dashboard in place. We developed it during 2018 and the previous one came in the 2015, but it was a different methodology. But in this slide, we are showing us how we are monitoring the interventions that are being done on the ground using the land cover. So in this platform, we have the change detection mechanism that we are saying, okay, while we are implementing the activities on the ground, we should on yearly basis update our land cover dashboard. This is F observation based land cover that we are updating on yearly basis, and then we are among the 6 countries in the world that are generating these statistics on yearly basis. And down here we have our soil information system, the national soil information system, that is also GIS based. with this platform, also we are showing the communities at national scale up to the plot level, whereby the farmers can know their soils. You cannot do agriculture without knowing the status of the soil. You cannot implement the conservation measures without knowing the contents of the soil information, so that you can actually put the conservation measures at the right soil status. So we rely on these platforms so that the implementation can be done in the right way. And so for more information, you can visit these links here. They are freely available for everyone in the world to visualize our data, how we are dealing with the land degradation in Lesotho. I said in the beginning, I'm taking you through the story of how Lesotho is combating desertification with the little that they have. So these are just the map layers that we have in our dashboard. The soil fertility map is there. We have the soil type map, and this one was based on the world reference classification, so that everyone, wherever they are in the world, they can see those aspects of soils in Lesotho. This is a very important layer for us as conservationists in Lesotho, because I said while we are implementing the sustainable land management activities on the ground, we need to also include GIS, remote sensing, to map interventions that are happening, so that the government can know where all those aspects are being implemented, where are we lagging in terms of conservation. And then you can see that we have about 10 categories of conservation measures. This one is just a suitability map. I will pass it. Okay, I mentioned earlier that with the F observation land cover atlas, all the layers that we have in there with regard to land degradation, we have them. And then we are saying, for us to be able to track the changes if we are in the right direction, we use this F observation based land cover statistics, whereby we are able to tell if in terms of, for example, the tree plantation program is in the negative direction. You can tell by running the statistics. You can run the statistics and do the change detection, and actually see if you are in the right direction. Yeah. So now, while we are monitoring, we are proud also to mention that in this platform, the UNCCD strategic framework, we are in a better position to report. And then our national report has also been published under the UNCCD platform. And then now we are saying on average, the Lesotho is affected by it's 3.6 million hectares of Lesotho is under drought stress. But we must acknowledge that the intensities of this drought differ in terms of spatial and temporal resolution or scale. With regard to land degradation, 269,300 hectares is under severe land degradation. This is quite appalling, because we said as population is increasing, our land is decreasing. So what does that say to the food security? What does that say to the water security? What does that say to the hydropower generation? Remember, in Lesotho we are a water tower, and then we use the hydropower, we use the solar energy. This is a negative impact to those investment that the country is having. We still say we need international collaboration so that we can strengthen these issues at the national level. If you look at this graph here, it says to us from 2000 up until it was 2022, the issues with regard to drought used to fluctuate based on the different years. On each and every 2 years, we'll be having drought going up, sometimes going down. But if you look at the yellow color here, the mild category, it's no longer going down. What does that say to us? It says drought is a serious problem in Lesotho and it's no longer going down. And then we are saying all the parties, the African region, we need to tackle the issues of drought because there are many underlying issues that cause this drought. You mentioned climate change, you mentioned all the anthropogenic effects that cause this. Okay, next slide shows us here gender disaggregation with regard to drought, how drought affect men, how drought affect women. We are saying the number in terms of percentage is affecting 90.0 women are affected by drought, while it's 91% men in terms of spatial location in the country. Okay, now this is our second slide from the end. We are saying our keynote as we depart in this presentation. The extent of DLDD in Lesotho is severe and it's beyond our national budget, but we are trying with the little that we have to make sure that we deal with it decisively. And then now we are no longer saying let's expand land. With the little that you have, what is it that you are doing as individual? What is it that you are doing as a government to maximize the little that you have so that it can be productive for the nation? This is what we are doing. We are saying also the policy and legal framework. On those issues, we are saying we are content that the legal framework that we are having with regard to environmental issues, we are content, but what is mostly lacking is the financial resources that matches the situation on the ground. Our constitution, the Lesotho National Constitution, says, section 36 of it says the national government should deal with the environmental issues, and then all those legal frameworks that are existing in the country fit into the bigger one. So the last one, alignment to SDGs is very important. Also the technological advancement, we need to evolve. We need to evolve, and then when science is evolving, we need to move very fast with it, because sometimes you will find that with artificial intelligence, the remote sensing, the GIS, these things help us to cut the corners as compared to what we used to do previously. We are not saying what happened before us is totally crap. How do we build on what we have using artificial intelligence, remote sensing? So it's a takeaway points that we have in Lesotho. We are saying the power of measuring should be seen by all of us at the global scale. If you do not measure result, you cannot tell success from failure. If you cannot see success, you cannot reward it. If you cannot reward success, you are probably rewarding failure. And if you cannot see success, you cannot learn from it. If you cannot recognize failure, you cannot correct it. And lastly, if you can demonstrate the results, you can win public support. And then this is our stand as African. Drought. Let's deal with drought. I thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this very informative, detailed presentation. Really, I'm really very much impressed, indeed. From the Mr. Moepi presentation, I understand the critical situation of Africa, of land degradation, and with a special focus on Lesotho. And he pointed out to the fact of water scarcity and the stress the land. You know, the land is stressed, under stress because of the severe degradation. And also he mentioned about the importance of capacity building and the alignment of this goal to the SDG goals. So this is very important, one of the key takeaways. And really, thank you very much for giving us this information about the appalling situation faced by Africa in terms of climate change. And you just mentioned about 19 hectares for each year, right? this is a very important, figure, because the government is taking care of the fight with climate change, and I can understand from this very informative presentation, government is on the driving seat and working very hard, and this is a very promising. I wish all the best for Lesotho. Thank you very much again for the presentation. Welcome, Professor, for joining us. Now we have a third speaker of today's session, Dr. Ronan Francis. He's going to give us presentation, information about partnership initiative for sustainable land management. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Paulo, what a presentation, really in depth. Unfortunately, or fortunately for the audience, I have something just general, outlining the state of drought, not so much desertification, because we haven't gotten to that yet in our Caribbean SIDS, which will be mostly my focus, and we are hoping with our participation in this COP and the strategic agreements that we can come to, that our small island developing states do not actually reach to that extent of desertification that we're observing here in Lesotho. Okay? So I just want to give you a brief idea of myself and my organization. So I'm from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, one of the small islands in the Caribbean. And my organization is the Partnership Initiative for Sustainable Land Management. It was envisioned through a small project in 2003, and then it continued to grow. By 2000, well, this year, we were actually ratified as an official IGO agreed upon by our Caribbean countries, 14 nations together. And we've highlighted them to the top there. So we focus really on accountability to our partners, diplomacy, trying to work hand in hand with our fellow SIDS and those in Brazil who has been very supportive in the negotiations, I could say, and try to be innovative with our practices. So all of the GIS that Paula would have mentioned, and the collaborations with other companies that specialize in those technologies. And of course, we are very Caribbean-centric because we need to solve our problems ourselves, of course, with international support. Here I've just wanted to highlight the countries that are involved, that are with the partnership itself, all the way in the north, the Bahamas to Guyana and Suriname, Grenada, Trinidad. We even have Belize on the west coast there. And currently, we have a project that I will get to that involves 8 of these nations and the other 6 coming on stream. So the state of drought and land degradation within our Caribbean region, the major pressures of this is basically deforestation for agriculture, because we have a drive to feed ourselves. There is the initiative 25 by 25, where we aim to reduce our food import bill by 25%. Sometimes, there is that toss-up where we try to improve or increase on production, but when it occurs in an unsustainable manner, then we have land degradation. Climate change, increasing surface temperatures, we experience that annually, and it also drives these extreme weather events that we've been experiencing. Just in July, the 1st of July, we had our earliest hurricane recorded for a good while, and it was a Category 5 hurricane when it passed over Caracou, which is one of the sister isles for Grenada. It also seriously affected the Grenadine Islands of St. Vincent, my country. So Canawan, Union Island, Mairo, the decimated these small islands. Urbanization is another driver, and the drive for infrastructure. We have limited land space. Our population is increasing. Everybody, unlike these larger countries where you have these condos, and we often say the space is in the sky. The Caribbean, we more like our single 2-3 bedroom homes, and that actually increases the pressure on our land. So we have encroachment of infrastructure on our forests, our most fertile soils. So this is something that we're dealing with as well. Mining, for instance, in Guyana, bauxite mining and gold mining increases pollution and land degradation there. Further up the islands, if we think about Dominica, St. Vincent, where we mine pumice for construction that is shipped to far reaches of the earth, sometimes across the Atlantic, and further up the smaller islands like St. Martin and so on, for their tourism and construction industry. This also drives degradation. Invasive species, both plants and animals, tend to reduce biodiversity and cause us a lot of issues as well. And of course, tourism-driven environmental stress is one that we can't ignore. I know this argument normally comes up. I see Dr. Forbes in the room here, and she would have raised that point, so I especially put it there. So once we're entertaining more guests, we need to feed them. So it actually adds to the cycle where we need to increase our production because we want to reduce our food import bill by 25%, right? So that in itself, and also we know persons come to our islands to explore our ecology, bird watching and just relaxing and basking in our environment, and that as well adds pressures. So what have we been doing? PISLM, we have our Soil Care Phase 1 project. It's a Jeff 7 project. Involved are eight of our Caribbean islands, well, countries, because Belize and Guyana are there. And it is the beginning of what we hope to do to our drive towards land degradation by 2030. So far, we have completed national surveys. So the data that Paulo has here for Lesotho, we're just collecting it. So we're just starting to model our data. We have developed, starting to develop the national laboratories so that countries can do their own soil analysis and prescribe amendments for their farmers and land stakeholders. We have formed a lot of capacity building groups within our unit, because one of the things we have to remember, like Lesotho, our SIDS are, we have 33 independent nations and small islands within the Caribbean, right? And within our 17 countries that are part of our project, we are not monoliths. Each country has its own little culture, its own little dynamic when it comes to the political establishment and the frameworks that drive change, right? But so we have established our Caribbean Soil Support System group. We have our Soil and Laboratory Network, CASOLAN. We have our Soil and Land Management Framework group. Actually, we have a meeting occurring right now with our laboratory and GIS technicians in Trinidad at the University of West Indies, going through that capacity building and gaining that knowledge so that they can enhance and deliver some of those products that you presented to us earlier. We have on our website our PISLM Knowledge Hub, and this is where those products would be housed. Each country would, of course, have access to their data. And then there is that legal aspect of it where we talk about who the data would be available to. So again, the discussion in terms of some countries may want to open the data freely like Lesotho, but others may look at it as an asset that they need to conserve. But in my opinion, the data needs to be free, open to the public and all parties, so that there may be things that we may miss that they may be able to contribute to. Another one of our initiatives in terms of capacity building, our first soil care phase 1 project has delivered 5 PhD scholarships. So we took a part of our funding and we are developing soil scientists and agronomists to go back to their countries to drive and lead in terms of the fight against land degradation. So as it relates to drought, drought resilience building in soil care phase 1, some aspects that we've started already, agroforestry systems to basically add towards livelihoods and have continuous production, and also the science behind it, it conserves soil water, adds to soil biodiversity and carbon stocks. Right? Water harvesting and storage is also very critical for us. For instance, in St. Kitts, they have seen a 25% reduction in rainfall over the past 10 years. And for the past 8 to 9 years, they haven't been able to provide the public with 24-hour service of potable water. So water is distributed in stages, and that's over the past 9 years. The aquifers are below 50% right now, and there is actually thoughts of investment into desalination. There are other islands who face issues with water distribution. For instance, Dominica, since the hurricane in 27, Maria, Category 5 hurricane, they have significant problems with water distribution, as the networks of pipes have not been repaired to full capacity as yet. So even though Dominica may have a lot of water, getting the water to the right places is still an issue. Drip irrigation technology, which is important in terms of water use. Pasture management for areas like in Karakou, for instance, where small ruminant farming is very important to that community and that island. Mulching is something that we encourage to add organics. And again, we have to think about where these strategies are being deployed. Most farms in St. Vincent in the small island SIDS are maybe 1 to 3 acres. So it's very small holdings. So what we have to do is, and what we encourage is acting as a collective in terms of deploying the strategies that we recommend. We also we have basically a program where we are developing climate smart model farms, and this is to educate persons within the farming communities, and we have demonstrations in terms of again irrigation, composting techniques, vermicomposting, making composting teas. We hopefully we can move on to biotechnology, biostimulant technology. So within this and within PISLM, we have the RACNAT facility, which is our research facility that is housed in Trinidad. We're investing in, we have invested in a bioflux technology for shrimp production, and we are looking at different ways of farming hot peppers and other important crops for the region. Of course, all of the work that is taking place within the RACNAT facility has been guided by what the islands wanted. So we have, this is basically the beginning of the 4th year for soil care phase 1. So going further and addressing the issues of drought is soil care phase 2. So in phase 1, there wasn't really a component dedicated to drought. But we've understood from our experiences that drought is something that is becoming more and more important. Even though where we lie within the trade winds would pass through the Caribbean and bring the annual rains between June to November, and also bring these torrential rains and storms, the drought that we are experiencing from January to June is becoming more severe. And agricultural drought is something that is a lot more important to us now, that we have to pay attention to. So in the design of soil care phase 2, we decided to have a dedicated component for drought. the additional countries that are coming online with soil care phase 2, and I wish they would have started from phase 1, but again, we talk about the political framework and how things are executed. We have Bahamas, Dominica, St. Kitts, St. Vincent, Suriname, and Trinidad. Now, there are also other projects being executed within the region, right? But I think based on how PISLM has positioned itself and the collaboration that we have with our UNCCD focal points and the ministers that are responsible for the convention, and if you were a lot, we had a few of them here. I'm speaking with Jeff and GCF and so on, and making the case for drought actions within the region. You would see that it's very important to us. I'm just going to highlight 4 of the activities that we're hoping to execute from next year once the project is approved and rolled out. So monitoring and forecasting is very important for us. So we have the Caribbean Drought and Precipitation Monitoring Network. So we're hoping to build capacity there and improve on our forecasting and monitoring, and that would actually put us in a better position to advise our farmers. We also have plans to install real-time soil monitoring sensors. Now, these are not cheap. And from a soil scientist perspective, you know, there needs to be a lot of training as well, and the coordination in collecting the data and being able to help our stakeholders with decision making. Right? So all of this information would be moved into our decision support system along with our remote sensing work to improve the advice that we can lend to our stakeholders. The other 2 activities, again, component phase 2 looks at building capacity and installing the institutions that we are lacking within SIDS that are already established in other larger and more developed countries. So capacity building in agrometeorology, and just allowing our farmers, our GIS officers, and all those involved. For instance, my country is just 110,000 persons. That's a little corner of the alley in Riyadh, right? In terms of population scale. But the more persons we have with the knowledge and the capacity to execute and to understand the information and be able to inform decisions within our small communities, I think we'll be better placed to stave off desertification and try to improve our capacity to be resilient against drought. And finally, looking at the literature, because we have to let the literature and the research guide us. We're actually investigating using drought-tolerant land races. I know there are a lot of research around in terms of certain crops, sweet potatoes, corn, and so on, that are drought-tolerant. I saw some interesting work over in the green zone where they're grafting tomatoes with drought-tolerant species. I know that there are research within the university as well, St. Augustine, where we're using our microorganisms from our savannas, where the grasses tend to really survive during those harsh drought periods, and it has been identified that there are special microorganisms there. So we're doing research where we can inoculate our plant species. For instance, tomato is what I know for sure. One of the plants that were tested by the student to improve its capacity to mitigate drought conditions. Right. So those are just 4. There is actually more, but I just wanted to highlight those for you so that you understand that this is the direction that we are going, and we are trying our best. Not always the capacity is there, not always the funding is there, but that's why we're here to lend our voices to those who have the will, and hopefully we can have that support. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Francis. Ms. Francis gave us very brief information about Caribbean small island countries' effort on the partnership of sustainable land management. I think strike a very good point on saying that, we should solve the problems ourselves, This is very important. I really appreciate that. Because normally people are looking for the outside assistance, outside patronage, some kind of endorsement, So this is very, very good point. And, he mentioned about the really severe land degradation. This is resulting in the drought problems. And I also mentioned about mining, because of the inadequate mining, it's posing serious challenges to the climate problem there and pollution problems. But I'm very heartened by hearing that they have a two-phase project which is undergoing right now. The first one about the resilience problem, the phase one, he said, for the island countries, it is seeds soil care phase. The name is very brilliant, soil care. And, 7 countries involved, and this is a very promising project because it's a trust fund, everybody put in the money for the common project, common cause. And he also mentioned about the resilience. The first one is the drought resilience project. It's very important. And you also mentioned about the capacity building. Really, at the end of the day, if there's no capacity, then you end up nowhere. So, and also another promising part is you have this phase 2, and you have 6 more countries moving in for the future sustainable, project, again, for the same purpose. So thank you very much, Ms. Francis, for the presentation. Now, we'd like to proceed with our 4th speaker, Professor Bo Wu. Professor Bo, he's received the PhD from China's Academy of Sciences. Now he's a key laboratory of desert ecosystems, global change, and this National Forestry and Grassland Industry of China. And also he's the director of Institute of Desert Studies. As far as I know, China is very experienced in the anti-desertification, combating desertification. There are a lot of experiences in Mongolia and some northwest provinces, I guess. So, Professor Bu, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chair. It's my pleasure to be here to have the opportunity to present the experiences and technologies in China for combating desertification. I will talk about 3 content: the desertification status, the experience, and the technologies of desertification control in China. According to the 6th National Desertification Survey data, China have 2.57 million square kilometers desertified land, accounting for 26.8% of the total land. In China, the desertified land are mainly distributed in 5 provinces: the Xinjiang, Inner Mongolia, Tibet, Gansu, and Qinghai. We have 4 types of desertified land: the wind erosion, water erosion, salinization, and freeze soil erosion. The wind erosion take about 70%. Since 1999, the desertified land decreased continuously in 4 monitoring period. We summarized the three experiences of desertification control in China. The number one is attach equal importance to ecology and economy, and combine desertification with poverty control. After more than half a century of the efforts, China has embarked on double win path, pay equal attention to ecology and economy, combating desertification and poverty, realized the sand advancing and people retreating to green advancing and sand retreating. The second experience is desertification control need scientific and technological innovation. The demand for desertification control promoted the desertification of scientific and technological innovation, which in turn has promoted the high quality desertification control. The third experience is comprehensive desertification control at the regional level has been driven by major ecological construction project in China. China government launched many big ecological construction projects. For example, the 3 North Set Belt project, we also called Green Great Wall, is from launched in 1978 to 2050. Its purpose is building ecological barrier in northern China. The second one is natural forest protection project from 2000 years. Its purpose is to stop and reduce deforestation and strengthen forest tending and conservation. The third one is Green for Green project. The government provides free green to farmers in exchange for farmers giving up cultivation of steep slope farmland to slow down the soil erosion. The third one, the fourth one is Beijing-Tianjin sandstorm source control project. Its purpose is to restore vegetation and improve the quality of ecosystem in the sand areas. Another very important project is the grassland ecological protection project. By providing subsidies and reward, the policy encourages the herdsmen to make original use of grassland resources, achieve the balance between grass and livestock. In China, we established the 3 systems for combating desertification. The security system, including building a new oasis to alleviate the high population pressure through immigration, build industry trail bases and guide people who rely solely on land to transfer to other industries, improve system of legislation and law enforcement, strengthen the research on desertification control technology, and the ecological system to establish natural reserves and desert parks for conserving natural vegetation and biodiversity, to rehabilitate desertification land by air seeding, afforestation and closure, etc. The technologies, to establish the set belt for protecting farmland, pasture, settlement, and etc. The industrial system, for example, the ecotourism, water-saving agriculture, the fruit and dry fruit production, and the wind and solar energy. Now I present some the technologies for desertification control. We compiled a book named the Practical Technique Manual for Desertification Control in China. I take some copies. Yeah, if you interested, can take. This book include the 4 categories of technologies, totally 30 techniques on desertification control in China. I show some pictures here. This one is a biological sand barrier, sand fixation technology. Use the oats in some plant, the crops, to as the sand barriers in the spring. Yeah, this technology is used the sisal, the shrub, the technology of exposure to promote the vegetation rejuvenation. This one is air seeding by aircraft. Use in the arid areas. This one is a sand barrier promoting vegetation restoration technology. We use different materials for the sand barriers, the straw, and also nylon, the clay, the fabric bag. This also use the fabric bag as the sand barriers. This in Qinghai Tibetan Plateau use the clay barrier plus the Karagana planting is a shrub and Artemisia. This one is the artificial inoculation of 6-tenchi desert-collar medicine. This one is in Xinjiang in Taklamakan Desert. It's a highway across the Taklamakan Desert. Is the precipitation less than 50 millimeters. Use the saline water irrigation. It's in the Kupchi Desert. Is a railway. It's also a railway across the desert, a Tengli Desert. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Bowu, for sharing with us China's experience in fighting desertification. China has 4 types of desertification. This is very interesting because this is quite unique. 4 types. So this is really a tough job, to fight with. And I heard he say that, they have achieved kind of goal about sand advancing and people retreating back to green advancing and sand retreating. This is really a great accomplishment for the Chinese government in this regard. And he shared about the some project, some how to fight with desertification, like shelter belt project, grassland ecological sandstorm, These are among the Chinese efficient instrument to fight desertification. And he also mentioned about the solutions of desertification control. I'm sure China is really in a very good position to share. They have lots of technology, a lot of awesome technologies, solutions to provide for the those countries affected by the desertification problems, Africa. So within the achieving the goal of SDG, I'm sure China is going to share the awesome technologies rest of the countries as well. Thank you very much, Professor. Now let's move to the last speaker. Now we have Dr. Topaş to give us a final presentation. Dr. Topaş, the floor is yours.
Kameraya şuna... Buradan da ses geliyor. Tamam. Hangisi? Şunu. Tamam. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining our science event. Today I am here to talk to you about Türkiye desertification model and sensitive map. My presentation includes 4 main topics. Introduction. I will describe the desertification in introduction section and cause of desertification. Also, I will explain why is desertification map is necessary. Then I will explain analytic hierarchy models, and then I will talk about the Türkiye desertification sensitive map, and I will planning to finish my presentation in conclusion section. Desertification is defined as the loss of soil productivity and resistance to degradation, especially in arid and semi-arid area, as a result of natural and human activities. In the world, desertification is one of the most important environment and social economic problem. We can a lot of cause of the desertification, but we can say 5 main factors cause the desertification. The first one is the climate change, and the second one is incorrect agricultural practice and deforestation, urbanization, population growth, and improper use of water sources. Now I would like to explain why is desertification map is necessary. Because the significant increase in desertification due to global change, urbanization, and population growth, leading the research on monitoring of current desertification situation to provide more effective desertification control in future. Because by 2040, 135 million people will be forced to migrate due to the desertification risk. Also, desertification is one of the main problem in Türkiye. Therefore, Türkiye desertification map was developed in cooperation our ministry and TÜBİTAK, which is the other institution in Türkiye, to monitor and prevent desertification situation. The Türkiye desertification map was created using the analytic hierarchy method. This method aims to solve a complex decision problem by dividing them into the hierarchic structure. Which parameter is important is decided to based on the expert ocean and to assign numerical values. When we created the desertification map, we used the totally 6 main indicators, including climate, water, soil, land cover, topography and geomorphology, and social economic indicators. Also, the model contains totally 48 indicators grouped under the 7 main criteria identified and described by expert. Now I explain how can we generation of desertification criteria index. Now you can see two tables, and they show weights of the 7 criteria and score value using the desertification model. In order to how much indicator classes affect the desertification, each class is given a score value by expert 1 to 2. 2 indicates low sensitive value, and second 2 indicates high sensitive values. And then weight of the criteria were estimated. You can see the table 1 are the desertification map. Climate was found the most important criteria with weight value of, I think, 35.6%. And finally, we created the desertification sensitive map by using the ArcGIS software. According to our desertification model, 18% of Turkey's land is the low, 50.9 medium, and 32.5 high desertification sensitive class. After the creation of the desertification map, we did verification and calibration the map. Calibration of desertification map was performed based on the field observation, and many experts participate in the field trip, and total 7 basin was visited. End of the calibration, the accuracy of sensitive map was found to be 90%. As a result, the sensitive map was successfully completed. You can see the map. The most sensitive region of Türkiye to desertification are Konya, middle of the Türkiye, and south part of the Türkiye. Now, our general director focus on this area to prevent the desertification. I think the other countries should produce their own desertification map to prevent the desertification. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Topaşlı, for your excellent presentation. Dr. Topaşlı gave us detailed information on Turkey's efforts and dedications in fighting desertification. She underlined the desertification criteria index, which also illustrated a map of desertification sensitivity as well as verification. So this is a really very important job and the task. Congratulations on your work. Thank you very much. So now I would like to open the floor. The audience, we have 17 minutes. That's why I reserve my right to ask any question before I give the floor to our audience. So would you like to ask any questions to our panels here? Please go ahead.
Thank you for your presentations. I have a questions about Mr. Wobu. I think I can pronounce correctly, I think. The question is this about the Beijing Tianjin Sandstorm Source Control Project. I wonder that what is the total budget of this project? Budget, yeah. I think it passed 22 years. Yeah. No.
20 years from 2002 to 2012, and from 2013 to 2022. In the first stage, more than I think for 40 billion Chinese yuan, first stage, and the next stage is about 80 billion Chinese yuan, renminbi. Yeah, 40 and 80. But the second stage, the range is larger than the first stage. Yeah. But the first stage, the range about I think 450,000 square kilometers. The second stage about 700,000 square kilometers.
My name is Aisha Abdulaziz from Nigeria. I work with the National Population Commission. The guy from Lesotho, you were talking about overpopulation and what climate smart strategies, population strategies, do you think you require to manage your population, not control? That is one. Two, I didn't hear you talk about gender in managing the desertification. I mean, as building resilience towards the community, because we all know that women and children bear the brunt of climate change. Thank you. My first question, you talked about population, and I'm saying, do you have climate smart population strategies for managing your population?
Yeah, thank you very much. I will start with the second question where you are saying gender in managing DLDD, desertification, land degradation, and drought. It's a matter of fact that gender plays an integral role in combating desertification. And then we are seeing in Lesotho the issues with regard to gender mainstreaming from bottom to the central government. Even in the activity or implementation, the legal framework should be in place. But sometimes we as the African, you'll see that we have a lot of good policies, good legislations, but the issues that are related to the implementation remains challenging. So your question, I would say in Lesotho, we have the policy, we have the legal framework, and then in every project that we have, there are quite a lot of projects, even if I didn't mention here. No project in Lesotho is implemented without the mainstreaming of gender, and then you'll find that in every step of the way we have those gender experts embedded, fully embedded in the implementation, so that the issues that are related to gender are covered. So the first question where you are saying climate smart population, yeah, I hope I don't get it wrong. Yeah, so also in Lesotho, when we are talking about climate affects us all. Climate affects all the sectors, but the issues that still remain in the population, management of population, it's quite challenging because it comes with the issues that are socio-economic, not, at this level where we are combating, or we are working with the DLDD at the catchment level. It says you as an individual, as Mosotho, you need to do something at household level to manage population. It starts with me, not the whole, to 2 million people that are living in Lesotho. And then we are saying in Lesotho, the 2 million, the slightly above 2 million people living in Lesotho. And the land that we are having, that we are saying is arable, that we are saying is can be attributed to the fertility management. It's around 240,000 hectares. What are we saying here? We are saying that land is very small as opposed to the population that we are having. We are saying if ever we were to divide the land that we are having for every person equally, you see that we are having 0.0 something hectareage of where a person can rely on. It says we as Basotho, we need also to deal with those issues, but we are already exceeding the threshold.
Thank you very much. Is there any further questions from the audience? I see none. In that case, I would like to make a very short summary about what has been discussed, presented just now. From today's session, I understand all panelists share their best practices, good success stories, and the challenges they are facing in fighting desertification. And a friend from Brazil mentioned about the struggle of the small farmers to combat desertification, and also the strong dedication of the Brazilian government for this cause, for setting up the pavilion here today in RIYADH. And again, a friend from Lesotho, he mentioned about the general situation of land degradation in Africa and political focus on the Lesotho, and also mentioned about government's dedication to fight desertification by giving us some very interesting examples and some success stories, as well as challenges. And we have a friend from Caribbean. Of course, again, one of the most affected regions in the world as the small Caribbean, small island countries for the land degradation. And aside from the challenges they are facing, like pollution, land degradation, and all the problems we know already, they also give us those very promising projects like soil care, seed soil care, phase 1, phase 2. This is very promising. Initially, they have 7 countries in the trust fund. Again, in the second phase, they have 6 more countries moving. So this is something extraordinary. I really quite heartened by. I'm sorry. Yes, this is very promising situation. And we have a professor from China. He mentioned about China's successful, measures in combating desertification. Although they have 4 different types of desertification cases, but they managed by using the very original, awesome technologies to curb sand erosion and try to, turn the degraded land into a arable land. This is really something very extraordinary, and I'm sure China is ready to share the experience with those countries in trouble. And lastly, we have a speaker from TÜRKİYE, Dr. Topaşlı, gave us the example, information about Turkey's dedication efforts in fighting the desertification by giving us the criteria index and this desertification sensitivities map, and also as well as its verification. So I thank you very much indeed for panelists, for insightful, resourceful, mind-blowing sometimes insights about about the country's success stories and shared challenges. So at the end of the day, I want to close my session by using the African proverb. In Africa they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. So this is the end of the session. Thank you very much.